Oh, hey, do you
Hello.
work for the bug group?
Yes, I do.
Do you think you could help me find Miss Rhonda?
Rhonda.
Oh, okay, perfect, thank you.
You're welcome.
Excuse me, are you Miss Rhonda?
Yes, hi.
Hey, I'm Halston. I'm the safety manager.
Hi, Austin. Nice to have you.
Yeah, I wasn't able to find you up in your office.
Well, I'm doing a little bit of stocking here in our closets, trying to keep things straightened out. It's very important that our closets stay well organized.
Well, that's perfect. I was actually here to talk to you a little bit about spring cleaning and what all goes into getting ready.
Well, it's something that we do on a regular basis, and it's very important to staying organized as part of what we do. One of the things that I really strongly recommend is getting our products out of the boxes.
Okay.
And getting it on the shelf in a place that's easy to reach, because you don't really want people reaching. Then taking your empty boxes and getting them removed from your closet.
Now, why does stuff have to get out of boxes? Why can't we leave it in there?
Well, it's something that we don't really talk a lot about, but the glue that is on these boxes oftentimes contain roach eggs. And once they get warm in a building, they start hatching, and that creates issues for our facilities. And it's our job to protect and maintain our facilities. So we want to get things out of the boxes, on the shelves, in a good place that's easy to reach for everyone, and then get rid of the boxes and the clutter. And speaking of clutter, that over there is going to be a problem, and we've got to make sure we keep our floors clear, because that is an enemy to our safety.
Time for pro safety tip number 1 on how to keep your janitorial closet safe. Make sure your closet is well organized and store regularly used and heavy items on the mid-height shelves to avoid having to reach too high or bend too low to pick them up. And make sure you take time to clear your closet of any debris or clutter to avoid tripping. All right, well, let me get this out of the way and get it wound up for you.
Oh, whoa. That actually is one of the things that we need to be checking on a routine basis when we're doing our spring cleaning, and probably at least once a month. This cord is a bit of a problem.
Oh, no.
First off, there's no way that this is going to go into an outlet properly, and it's missing the most important component, the ground prong. So that's going to be a problem. And as you can see, there's some other issues. We've got some open cord, which is exposing. The insulation is now exposed and the cords are exposed. And wow, this is probably an extreme situation. We'd never want this to happen, but a lot of times you get this type of fraying when you've got a constant bend in the cord.
Okay, so let's say I'm one of your employees and I have a cord that looks like this, and I bring it to you. What would you do with it?
Well, I'm going to have to take this cord completely out of service. It's unsafe, it's a fire hazard, and absolutely no way can we be able to use this. And I need to have this disposed of immediately so no one else uses it.
Okay. So you mentioned looking through our equipment. What other things might we want to inspect during a spring cleaning?
Well, as you know, we all vacuum. So one of the things that you're looking at, again, you're going to look at the ground prong on your vacuums to make sure it is present. This ensures that the vacuum is safe to operate. But you're also looking at some other things. You're going to be sure that you're checking the bag to make sure it's not overfilled and that the filters are not clogged.
How does that one look?
Well, this one, I would replace it. I think it probably needs a little bit of work. When they get overfilled and blocked, then the vacuum actually is putting out more dust than we're actually picking up.
So how would an employee go about replacing it? Who would they need to contact?
I would contact my immediate supervisor or the lead, and maybe even your operations manager. You've got to be sure you have plenty of replacement bags, and you should have filters on site to be sure that your vacuums are operating efficiently. And you don't want to create too much drag on the motor, because before you know it, you'll burn it up.
Very good. The filters are also extremely important because even for safety reasons, we have to make sure we're cleaning the air like we're promising our client we're going to do. Closet safety pro safety tip number 2. Take time to look at each one of your extension cords for damage. This damage could cause an electrical fire. Also, check your vacuum bags and filters. We want to make sure our vacuums are cleaning safely and efficiently. And finally, inspect any other equipment that you use regularly for defects. Cool. Well, what else do you have to show me about spring cleaning?
Well, it's really important that we're checking all of our trigger sprayer bottles, make sure that they're clearly labeled and identified. For example, This is a big no-no. This bottle is not labeled. It does not have a label, and I have no idea what is in here. That's a kind of a problem.
Okay, so what do you do with it?
Well, what I'm going to do is dump these chemicals out because I have no idea what it is, and anything placed in here could cause a chemical reaction, and that could be a danger to our employees or in the environment. So what I'm going to do is dump this out and get rid of it.
All right. So if it does have a label, what are we looking for on the label? What kind of stuff needs to be on there?
Well, it's really important that your labels are compliant and that they're going to identify the name of the product, the application that it's used for, and the chemical, the main active ingredients that are in there. It's going to give you a lot of other information as well. It's going to give you a number to call in case there's an emergency. But every bottle must contain a label.
Very good. So we're looking for what is it, what's in it, and what is it used for?
Correct.
Very good. And if your employee noticed that there were a bunch of bottles that were missing labels, what would you ask him or her to do?
First thing I would ask them to do is rid the bottle of any chemicals, and then I will bring them their all of the labels. It's really important. It's a step that we sometimes get confused. We put the label on the fresh bottle so that whatever goes in there, when you're mixing the chemicals and diluting them, it makes sure it contains and matches what's on your label.
Gotcha. Very good. Pro safety tip number 3. Take time to make sure every single bottle in your janitorial closet has a label. And if it doesn't have a label, pour the contents out and contact your manager for a new label immediately. Finally, each bottle should be labeled before it is filled. That way we can ensure that the contents in the bottle match the label. We have all of our bottles labeled, but we want to get a little bit more information about the chemicals we're using. Where will we go to find that?
Well, it's important that every one of our sites has a safety data sheet manual. This is very important. This a lot of times you'll hear it referred to as the SDS book. It's really important that because we have information here, it identifies each chemical that you have on site, any dangers, proper PPE to use. It also gives you 1-800 number to call in case there is an emergency. So each site is required to have one of these.
That's great. And here at the Bug Group, we have another option for you to go get information about the chemical you're using, and that is at www.buggroupsds.com. If you go to that site, you can type it into a search bar, whatever chemical you're trying to use, and it'll take you right to that chemical and pull up the SDS for it. Or, in the case of an emergency, if you really needed to find out information on a chemical quickly so that you could tell the medical provider what you were using or exposed to, you could call 1-866-BUD-911, and we will be able to get that information to you really quickly.
I'm so glad, Halston, you brought up these posters. They have been a wonderful addition to our to the Bud Group and our safety program. It keeps everything right up front. Every site should have one of these posters in one of your janitorial closets, at least one. If you have a large site, you might need more than one poster. It's very important that we keep this information available to our employees.
Absolutely. That's a good point. And one of the things that's on this poster is that if you need even more information, you can request the HAZCOM program that the Bug Group has from your supervisor, and they will be able to give it to you. All the HAZCOM program is a couple-page document that explains how the Bud Group handles hazardous communication. It says that we want to have posters like these. It says that we need to have SDS books, and it says what to do in the event of an emergency. Well, Rhonda, this has been a lot of fun, and I really appreciate you taking the time to show me around the closet and tell me what it takes to get ready for the spring.
Well, Halston, it has been great to see you again. Come back anytime. In fact, I could use an extra hand anytime you're around.
All right. Time for the final pro safety tip on how to keep your janitorial closet clean and safe. Every single Bug Group account should have a safety data sheet binder that contains all of the safety information on every chemical used at that account. This information can also be found at www.budgroupsds.com. And finally, if you have more questions about chemical safety at the Bug Group, you can request a copy of the Bud Group Hazardous Communication Program from your supervisor.